Hello everyone, it's Brian here with surprisingly a new video. I think my last real video was something like a week ago. I didn't check. Of course, recently I posted a very short video from my daughter who recounted some of her least favorite musical acts. She was about to do it and I said, wait, can I record this? And she said yes. And then I said, can I post it online? And she said yes. So there we have it. I will say that not everyone liked that video, but you can't please everyone. So it's been a bit busy. Work has been busy. Life has been busy. The Olympics are on. There's snow to be shoveled. So there was a lot of competing priorities. So I didn't do many videos recently. However, I thought what I would do today is to talk about some albums that I have played recently, so the last 2 weeks or 3 weeks, and they're really things that I remember that I played because I didn't make a list and I didn't set them aside, and I had to go back to the shelves to find them. I think I've only ever done this once before, and I keep thinking it's something I should do, but I just forget to do it. So this will exclude anything that I showed in a very recent finds video, because obviously those are ones I play anyway. So other than that, things I have played for one reason or another. And I guess I'll just say a couple words about each of them. I'm not going to go into huge details about them. The first is Gary Numan Berserker from 1984. And I played this because weird things happening with the light here. I was in a couple of record stores and both stores had copies of the new deluxe reissue of this record. And I guess I was thinking to myself, should I buy the reissue or should I not buy it? I know Richard's Vinyl Tap House, I think Richard got it. I think even Steve at AS for Alice got a compact disc version, which I think he's eliminating. I could be wrong about that. So I did listen to this, and I do like this record. It's not my favorite Gary Numan record, but I don't think I liked it enough to justify getting the bonus tracks on the deluxe edition. Not that I can remember what they are right now. I mean, if it came on sale, I might consider it, but I'm quite happy with this. This is oddly kind of a rare record here, believe it or not. It's not expensive, but in the whole time I've been collecting records, which is much longer than I want to admit to, I've seen a copy of this record exactly once. And I bought it. Never have I seen this again. So that's very strange, right? This is a UK import with some lyrics and the familiar Numa label. I'm sure you've seen that if you're a Gary Numan fan, as I am. So that was a good one. And then I played a record that I haven't played. Most of these I haven't played for a while, which reminds me of a thread that's going around that I might take part in. But Joe Jackson, Look Sharp from 1979. One of two records I guess he released in 1979. I've never loved this album cover. I don't like the shoes in it, or boots, whatever they are. I don't like the cover photography. I just think it's weird. I think this is a better image. Maybe this should have been on the front. The first time I heard the track, Is She Really Going Out With Him?, I thought it was some sort of novelty track, and I thought he would just disappear, but he hung around for a while. I do actually like him as an artist. This is not my favorite Joe Jackson record, but I do like it. Sunday Papers is a great track. Look Sharp is good. I mean, there's a lot of good tracks in here. So I think it's really solid. Very boring paper. I should change this, I suppose. A&M labels. So not a bad one. And here's a band that I actually disliked intensely when I first heard it. The first track I heard from this band was When Love Breaks Down by Prefab Sprout. This is the previous record from 1984. And I was completely underwhelmed and unimpressed when I heard When Love Breaks Down. Now, subsequently, over the decades, I've grown to like that track. I bought the record at some point. Obviously, I got this one. I got the one that came after, Two Wheels Good or Steve McQueen. I would like to get a copy of Jordan the Comeback. So in other words, I do appreciate this band more than I did when I first heard that song. I couldn't believe people were listening to it when it came out. I was like, why are you listening to this terrible song? This is pretty good. This is a pretty good album. It's got, unfortunately, a price sticker removed part of the sleeve there, but and I don't like the album cover on this one either. I don't understand the name of the band. I think Paddy McAloon said that his vocals weren't good on this one, that some suggestion that he might want to have recorded it again. Who knows? But it's a solid record. And comes with this inner sleeve, and I think he's still continuing, but Prefab Sprout is really just padding now. I think no one else is with him. He's just a solo thing now. Epic Records, not bad. Then feeling sort of in a certain mood, I chose, and I should probably get an improved copy of this. The cover's a bit damaged or rough. It's Susie and the Banshees, The Scream from 1978, the band's first record. They're often credited with being an early, or one of the earliest goth bands. I don't know. Labels mean less to me as I age because there seem to be too many of them. So whether you call this post-punk or goth or even new wave, I don't really know. There's the back. I guess the most popular track on here is probably Hong Kong Garden. They do a cover of Helter Skelter. A few other tracks are quite interesting. All in all, a really solid debut, I think. Inner sleeve with some lyrics, that photograph, and then I'll just leave that in here, but it's the, these red Polydor labels. So this is a Canadian pressing, if you care. Right after that, I decided to go straight back, Susie and the Banshees with Join Hands from 1979. This happens to be a pressing from West Germany. Don't know how that happened. I have more West Germany things coming up, strangely enough. This image, though, does immediately connect you with World War I think. And then the back has the similar image with a little less saturation. It's a gatefold. Their photos seem to have been treated or photocopied or something like that. And again, this is a really excellent record. I think the track that most people might know, or maybe you might know, is Playground Twist. It's kind of cool. It starts with Poppy Day, giving you that sort of, war kind of theme. The only track in here that I don't love as much as the others is The Lord's Prayer, probably because it goes on just a little bit too long. I mean, I think it's 14 minutes. There's the lyrics. Black there. I think it's 14 minutes and 7 seconds, which in my mind, I mean, I do love long epic tracks. I think that one just takes it a little bit too far and I kind of lose interest. I mean, it takes up almost all of side 2. I lose a bit of interest, but otherwise, this is a really strong record and I do love the album cover, which I think is this was not their first choice of an album cover. I think the initial design suggestion, the record label was worried about copyright issues, so they went with this, which I like. In the same sort of theme, The Cure, Boys Don't Cry, and if you don't live in North America, you may not have seen this before because this is the North American version of Three Imaginary Boys. There's a slight change to the track listing. I believe 8 tracks are common and the others are different. I think there's 13 on here, 13 tracks, so they swapped out a few. This came out in 79 as well, but this is a 1988 repressing from Canada. I guess new wave, whatever you want to call this. I guess there's several tracks on here that made an impact. So Boys Don't Cry, 10:15 on a Saturday Night, Jumping Someone Else's Train, Killing an Arab. Those all appeared on the Staring at the Sea collection or the Standing on the Beach, one or the other. The CD copy has more tracks, so maybe a couple are on the CD that are not on the record. Fire in Cairo, Grinding Halt. I'd say a pretty good outing from The Cure. There's should I take it out? Okay, fine. Boys Don't Cry from The Cure. The Cure have changed their sound obviously a few times, subtly over the years. So by the time this came out, this is now described as being post-punk. Some people call it goth. In Discogs it says gothic rock, it says cold wave, it says new wave. This is 17 seconds from 1980. A really dark, moody record. My favorite Cure track is on here, called A Forest, but equally there's some other cool tracks on here, like Play for Today is a really strong one. With the lineup, they line up Smith, Hartley, Lowell Tolhurst, and Simon Gallup. In a very... By the way, this is a West German import. The Cure upside down. So there we go, The Cure. Pretty cool. It's amazing. You just play them and clean them and play them, and you still end up with dust on them. It's craziness. That was The Cure. In fact, I then went on and played Faith from The Cure. And again, this is a West German import. I don't know why I have West German imports. Only 8 tracks on here. That early, dark, wonderful Cure sound that, There was a point where I preferred the later stuff when they started doing things like In Between Days and, the Head on the Door album with, also Caterpillar, The Walk. But I've changed my mind. I've gone back to liking this better. 8 tracks right there. I guess the most notable one here is probably Primary, which is a very cool track. But there's a lot of deep cuts on here, which are very cool. As a printed inner sleeve. And that sort of same Fiction Records label. So I enjoyed the trip through The Cure. I was going to go on and play another album from The Cure, but I thought, okay, I need to take a break for that. And I don't remember what day I played these or what exact order they were, but I know I played those 3 back to back. One day in the last couple of weeks or so, I dug out my old copy of Black Sabbath, the debut record. This is a Canadian. I'm not going to say it's original because, I don't know if you notice, and sometimes in Discogs there's issues or pressings that are reissued that there's no date associated with. This is one of those. So probably 70s, but it could also be early 80s. I'm not really sure. But the debut record from Black Sabbath called Black Sabbath, which is phenomenal. And I have to say, I hadn't played this in a while. And so sometimes, you're thinking, does it sound good? This sounds fantastic. There's no surface noise, no pops, no clicks. It's beautiful. It plays amazingly well. I do know that the inner sleeve in here is not the one that goes with this, because the inner sleeve that is in here is a Punch-Out. I don't know where I got this record, to be honest, but I've had it for quite a while. And it sounds absolutely fantastic. Black Sabbath on the Warner Brothers label. Pretty cool. I never can tell what my favorite Black Sabbath record is, but this is up there somewhere. Then I played something a little more contemporary. This is Fontaine's DC with Romance from 2024. This is their 4th record, and it's a record that I think divided fans in some ways. Some people liked it, some people didn't. Personally, I think it's fantastic. Obviously, a little bit different from their first 3 records, but a band, can't keep doing the same things over and over. Although I don't love, as I said when I showed this record when I bought it, I don't love that album cover. I think it's hideous. Maybe that's the point. I think the back is also hideous. I just don't like anything about the design of this album cover, but the music is really good. I've also been hoping that Grian Chatten would release a new solo record, because his first and only solo record, as far as I know, was fantastic, wonderful. The lyrics, and then the really interesting image of the band. And like many modern pressings, they're released in different versions and formats. So this happens to be this hot pink version, which is, pretty interesting. And the inner sleeve is like this die cut, which is kind of cool. So that's fine. Right. And then for some classic rock, I decided to play One Day, Who's Next from The Who. Not much to say about this record from 1971. Won't Get Fooled Again's on here. Baba O'Reilly, of course. Bargain. Song Is Over. Getting in Tune. Going Mobile. Behind Blue Eyes, etc. A pretty comprehensive Who record. Nice job on that one. There we go. MCA. This horrible MCA label, which I hate. I just think it's kind of a mess. It's kind of ugly. But a good record. And then, here's a record I played once when I bought it and never really played again. And I didn't get it that long ago, maybe a year or so ago, and then I kind of forgot about it. It's odd because it's from a band I really love, and that's the Gang of Four. So their first 4 records, I guess, are really excellent. And then they kind of were not always releasing music. There was, there's some gaps. This is 2011. I'm not going to remember the whole discography, but this is a record I had never heard before until I bought it. And I've only had heard it once before I played this, so I've only heard it twice. And of course, I guess it's fair to say it's not as good as their first records, but it's still pretty solid. I enjoyed when I was listening to it. I'm not sure it's one I pull out a lot, but I think it's good. It deserves another turn on the turntable for sure. There's nothing in here, though, except for this polyline sleeve with the record. By the way, it's called Content, if I forgot to say that, which I think I did. But yeah, not a bad record. But it wouldn't make my top 4 or 5. Well, I know. We'll see how that goes. I'm not sure. So I've been waiting for a new Radiohead record for a long time. So I'm always delighted when a Smile record comes out. They put out 3. This is 2024's The Cutouts, which I think is phenomenal. Not sure what I think of the album cover. I think it's pretty good. I don't know what any of the songs are called because I just kind of put on the record and go with it. I kind of ignored the titles of the songs. And the only thing I regret is there's no download code for this because, you know, I do like the downloads for the iPod in the car, you know, upside down label. And look at this dust on here already, even though I've played it and cleaned it off. Weird. Anyway, very good record. I think this really grabs me. It's a very cool record. That led sort of in a strange way to me playing Kraftwerk, Computer World from 1981. This is a Canadian pressing of that record. And I'm happy to say, you know, sometimes I haven't played a record for a while and I'm wondering, does it sound as good as I thought it did? Is there surface noise that I didn't remember? Because sometimes I put on a record, it's like, wow, that's noisier than I thought. This is pristine, plays wonderfully. Absolutely incredible. Computer World's on here, obviously. Pocket Calculator, Computer World 2, Home Computer, Computer Love. Really good record. Of course, I love Kraftwerk, of course. And there's a pretty nice label in here. Looks like that. It's pretty cool, right? Kraftwerk. Excellent. And this is probably an obvious link, but I do remember that after I played this one, I went straight to this record. Neu, the debut record from Neu from 1971. Now, this obviously is not the 1971 version of that record. This is a reissue. I do like this album design, very minimal. Can't read any of this writing. There's some images of the dudes. And this was repressed on white vinyl, which I don't love. You can't really see dust on white vinyl very clearly, so I kind of don't really like it. The only problem with this record is that the first track, Hollow Gallo, is so good it kind of overwhelms the rest of the record. That is the premier track on here, but it is a phenomenal track. And then sort of in a similar-ish vein, I then pulled out, because I recently bought that Brian Eno live recording, I pulled out this High Life from Hyde and Eno, so Brian Eno and Carl Hyde, who did this double live recording. Because that's a studio work there. Pretty cool image here of musicians at work. Love this image, it's really cool. And each of the inner sleeves has another image of the band with some track listings. Cool photo again, love that. Yeah, this is a really good record. It's one that I played quite frequently when I got it, and then, you know, things happen. You get other records, you don't go back to them very often. This is really good. I really think this is an excellent record. I quite like it. And I believe this came with a download code as well, which I like. So that is excellent. The next record is a record, when I put it on, I remembered how fantastic it sounds. Not simply the music, but the way it was pressed. I would say, if I had to choose the best sounding record in my collection, I might choose this one, Ensoulment, from a band called The. Matt Johnson's oddly named band, starting back in 1983. Well, before that, but the first record came out in 83. First full length, I should say. This is a kind of like a comeback album of sorts. They hadn't put out a proper studio album in quite some time. This is 2024, a mix of politics and, I guess, love in a way. Some interesting political songs in here. Just a regular plain black sleeve. Those labels. And the interesting thing about this record is that it comes with a fantastic heavy booklet with all the artwork done by Matt's brother. So every song has a companion piece of artwork. It's pretty cool. Some politics there. Yeah, pretty excellent package. And as I say, the sound of this thing is truly breathtaking. I wanted to play it immediately afterwards because it just sounds so great. At least on my turntable, it sounds amazing. The last one I'll mention today is Echo and the Bunnymen Crocodiles, the debut from 1980. I'm a big fan of this band. I wish they'd get back in the studio. They're still touring. I think Ian McCulloch's voice is a bit worn now, but it does have a lot of character to it. One thing I had forgotten about this record, or maybe never even paid attention to, is that it's produced by two people, well, two entities, Ian Brody and the Chameleons. I was stunned to find that. Like I maybe knew that and forgot or never even looked at it, but the Chameleons as producers I find really interesting. The big track on here is probably Rescue. At least that's the one that's collected on some best of compilations. But Villiers Terrace, Pictures on My Wall, that's cool. Going Up, Stars Are Stars, Pride. It's a good album. This Korova, Sire labels. So it's good to reacquaint myself with that record, although I have listened to that one not that long ago. But an excellent record, no doubt. Anyway, thanks for watching, and I will see you in the next video. Just let me know if you want to see more what I've been playing recently, because I always forget to do it. If that's interesting to you, let me know. I'll see what I can do. Anyway, see you later.